Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to this session. We're going to have a presentation on trade finance for UK exporters to the GCC. As you know, finance is very important to initiatives if you want to sort of export your products anywhere in the world. And the UK Export Finance, or UKEF, is the UK's export credit agency. Our speaker, Julian Lynn, is Regional Head, Middle East and Asia Pacific of UK Export Finance. I know he and his colleagues are here today. There's quite a few of them in the audience today, actually. So over to you, Julian, and do look out for the UKEF representatives in the event venue. Over to you, Julian. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julian Lynn. I'm a regional head here at UK Export Finance, covering the Middle East, Asia Pacific and China, and have a few slides here to show what UKEF does and how it can help you win contracts, get paid, and secure business in the Gulf markets. So just a little bit of background to UKEF. It's one of the oldest and largest export credit agencies in the world, and most advanced countries have these ECAs, which are designed to promote exports to destination markets. We operate within the UK Treasury, and our product range has been designed and refined over the 100 years we've been in existence to make sure that it offers what is needed to help exporters export and for buyers to buy UK goods and services. So it is a large and award-winning export credit agency and a very strong history and presence in the world today in promoting trade and investment globally. To exemplify that, in last year, and we're just finishing this year's accounts, but last year we supported over 300 businesses in some 70 countries. And the large majority of these were SMEs. And the important point to realize here, looking at the amount and volume of business that we did, is that a lot of this business probably would not have happened had we not become involved. So our role has been critical in achieving export volumes of around £8 billion. In fact, I think that figure will be exceeded for this year. Part of it, of course, is to do with the support that is needed in the middle of the COVID lockdown, and businesses are needing to manage their cash flows and their support from us, but also because there is, post-Brexit, a big effort by the UK to increase its trade and investment flows globally. I think this is the key slide in terms of showing the value of UKEF. And we support, firstly and foremostly, all sectors. We're the first to recognise the UK as a service-based industry. And secondly, has a huge variety of sectors from renewable energy, health, education, infrastructure, engineering, petrochemicals, transport. So we cover all of these sectors, and we are sector agnostic. We will support them regardless, within reason of the background. We have a global remit, so that's over 200 countries for which we have exposure appetite right across the globe, and that provides an enormous incentive to go far and wide if you need to secure your exports. We also offer local currency financing, which is important in some regions of the world where there's a need to manage foreign exchange risk. We also offer extended credit terms of up to 18 years in the case of renewable energy. And this is also vital to make our exports and the projects that we support financeable and affordable to the borrowers and buyers overseas. We also have a global banking network, and this is important because the way we work, as we'll discover in a little while, is through and with banks. We provide our support through them. And this support, as the next sector shows, is 100% unconditional guarantee. So it's a support that banks like and are actively seeking, because it provides risk-free finance for them as we carry the support of the UK government. And all we ask, and this is probably the golden rule for our support, is that any contract that we are asked to support should demonstrate a minimum of 20% UK content. And this is a very strong additional advantage because it's among the lowest threshold of content required by any ECA globally. So it allows a contractor in the UK to also include in their contract local costs that they may have to incur and third country costs in order to execute a contract. As I mentioned, we're also a sophisticated ECA, so we do project finance, corporate finance, Islamic financing, structured finance, asset finance. So a huge range of structures that we are able to structure, get our heads round and underwrite and support. So we are able to offer also quite significant sector teams, including more recently a sector focus on renewable energy, emerging technologies, and in aviation as well, and marine. So just to set the scene, here's a little bit of a slideshow in terms of how UKEF fits into the wider UK government support, which is available. We obviously have our own global network of embassies, which are important in facilitating and opening up opportunities. We have our overseas buyer network, major buyers, state government departments, sovereign wealth funds, utilities, and international contractors. Obviously, UKEF sits in the middle and then bridges the gap with sector specialism in the DIT within the UK. So that could be sector specialists in education and health, water, energy. And their job is to find UK businesses and help those businesses come into these projects. And then finally, we have the UK Exporter Network, and we are actively mapping UK exporters all the time, very keen to find UK exporters and help them into these projects. So that is us fitting in the middle of the entire umbrella of UK government activity to support and identify opportunities globally. To demonstrate that commitment, within UKEF, we have a global international network of experts, clearly represented throughout the world. We have one in the Middle East, and that is also a network that will be expanded. But it's important to understand the global connectivity, the global supply chains, and the need for the interconnection between countries, between, say, for example, Japan or China or Korea and their contractor base, looking at projects in, say, the Middle East, where they might use UK subcontractors or UK supply chain. And we can finance them. We're not committed necessarily to a UK entity in order to finance it, as long as they're able to purchase from the UK. And increasingly, we're seeing the Middle East contractor base itself look to the UK for subcontractors and UK content. Then we have our own domestic international national network of export finance, and their role, as we'll come on to talk about in a minute, is to help with businesses, particularly SME businesses in the UK, that may need assistance in order to secure a contract, and they are distributed throughout the country. And if you are a UK-based entity, you will find on our website someone in your county, typically county-based or region, who is available to answer any questions about the support that might be available for you as an exporter. So looking at our product base, as I said, it broadly falls into support. We give overseas buyers to encourage and incentivize them to purchase from the UK. And these are typically large-scale financing for major projects where one or more, and probably several UK exporters may be attracted into supplying to that project. And then we have the support grouping of products which go into exporters themselves. And they're typically what we call short-term products that are designed to help manage bonding or cash flow or export credit insurance that might be needed for a small business. For example, that is taking on a large contract for which it has concerns about cash flow management or the event of non-payment if they go ahead with this contract. So our support is designed to help them achieve that. So looking at the products a little bit further, we talked about the buyer financing, the long-term product financing, and that is a quite sophisticated product, but it's designed to provide a platform of funding to an overseas buyer. We offer it in a variety of forms, whether it's a complex structure with a loan agreement or a simple structure with just letters of credit that can be put in place. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this exporter guarantees, these are facilities going in from us to the exporter's bank in order for the exporter's bank to then provide facilities for that exporter to move ahead with the contract. And then in the very important case of ensuring your contract, for example, against non-payment, we can step in alongside the private market if there is a gap in that market in taking a risk appetite on a certain country or a certain buyer. And generally speaking, UK exporters are underinsured compared to our European competitors. And it's a very important area to bear in mind. So just a simple story about how well product works. And as I mentioned earlier, it broadly works on the basis of our guarantee going into a bank and providing that 100% risk-free support that the bank is then encouraged to fund a transaction with an overseas buyer. And that simple structure there, I think, simplifies how our support works through the provision of our unconditional 100% guarantee to a lender in this sort of project. I think it's important, and we all recognise the current climate in terms of the imperative of clean growth. And this is a specific focus and a specific strategy for UKEF to encourage. And so we have a direct lending facility of £2 billion, and that is designed specifically for clean growth activities. There's a slide a little later on which itemizes the clean growth, but broadly, it's the main obvious areas of renewable energy, energy efficiency, pollution control, new technologies, smart technologies, and conservation. And I would highlight this because the GCC itself is going through a huge transitionary phase, moving from a hydrocarbon and burning oil and gas into downstream value-added activities, which include things like tourism and services-based industries. And the UK is very, very keen to play its part in helping that transition and facilitating it. So our support is extra competitive and focused on this important area of strategic focus. And our objectives really are to ensure that we help the UK businesses achieve their opportunities. So where we have the UK at the forefront of leading edge emerging technologies, whether it's in renewable energy or carbon capture, storage, or even in more advanced opportunities in hydrogen and electrical vehicles, that we're able to give them the support they need. But also it's a global mandate. So we're there to assist all countries and all international buyers and borrowers with their own transition strategies, and where they're looking to UK goods and services, UK expertise to help bring that around. So this is very much the heart of UK government strategy and policy, and we at UKEF are playing a key role in fulfilling those objectives. So we talked a little bit about the clean growth. These are the eligible projects, sectors rather, and sustainable activities. This can include things like water and waste management as well, eco-efficiency and climate change adaptation, and clean transportation. For example, we have recently undertaken a very large-scale rail project in Egypt, and that is really to take cars off the road and put people into comfortable air-conditioned trains. And that, I think, is going to be a pattern that we'll see, an infrastructure objective that we're likely to see across the rest of the Middle East and globally as public transportation is improved and investment is made. Couple of case studies that I think just to drop in there, that we've completed 3 offshore wind projects in Taiwan And that demonstrates our commitment to the renewable energy sector. But the important point here was the help we were able to provide smaller businesses right down the supply chain, purely because the finance was anchored through our support to finding UK content. And that's a principle, whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere, of using our support early on and then incentivizing sponsors and developers to look for UK content. But it's an important area of our sector focus. And this is an interesting help that we provided to a solar company in the UK, which won a major project in Europe. It was very large as a project compared to their turnover and to their revenues. So we were able to put in place working capital facilities, which allowed them to bridge the gap between the revenues and cash coming in and the expenses up front that they typically incurred in order to start executing the contract. So in this case, this was an enabling support. They simply would not have got this support from any other bank. And we were able to step in and achieve this support. And they, in turn, were then able to execute these contracts. And this was another transition strategy because they were exporting for the first time. And they needed extra help to make sure that that export shift, that export strategy succeeded. And we're very proud and pleased of this particular case. More recent renewable energy deals, which talk about the support we mentioned earlier about any company, particularly in this sector. We've got, as I mentioned, the 2 wind projects here, but we also help Jaguar Land Rover with their EV investments. And as you'll see at the bottom, the recent Solar Century deal that I've just been summarizing. So thank you very much for that. That was a quick run through on the support that UKEF can provide. Very happy to answer any questions or after this presentation. Certainly, hopefully our details will be available and we can provide email replies or arrange further calls or meetings to discuss your opportunities. But I would just like to highlight the importance of the GCC region to the UK and to UKEF. It's our largest and most active region, and we're seeing huge opportunities there right across the sector range, from water to power to infrastructure, education, health. Particularly in the current climate, we think health will be a very important new area. So no matter what your business is doing, small or large, and whether it's British or not, it's almost certainly possible that we can try and help if, at the end of the day, you are intending to use UK goods and services. So I'd like to thank you very much all for listening to the presentation, and I look forward to an opportunity to discuss how we can help you and the opportunities you're looking at in the GCC. So thank you once again. Well, that's great. We do have a couple of questions, so really keen to answer. One from Mark, which is, what is the practical help for UK export finance for an SME looking to export to the GCC for the first time? And that's a great question. I think it goes to the heart of where I think UKEF is the most helpful. The first thing is, I think, is to make sure that you are able to make contact with one or more of the EFM network that we have nationwide, and the relevant region would be on our website. And from a standing start, they will have a conversation with you about what your needs might be. Now, if it is just the financing side, they can work with you and your bank to see what kind of cash flow support you might need in order to go for the contract. Secondly, if you're looking for insurance, they can work with an insurance broker and alongside it will provide support to insure your contract. But much more realistically, obviously, is if you are looking at a GCC market, that they, even though they're based in a rural location, let's say in the UK, can quickly network through us, an equivalent individual in the market of interest who can organize meetings, can facilitate a discussion or a marketing opportunity that might need to arise, so that you are given an umbrella of support right the way through the process. And as you enter into discussions, we can help with providing a financing offering letter, which can then encourage the buyer or borrower to look to buy from the exporter, knowing that our support would be in place. We also have sector teams in the DIT. So if you're in a particular sector, it could be emerging technologies, it could be health, it could be education. Those teams are designed to also help you make sure that you know the right people, the right buyers in situ. And the most powerful thing I think about this whole global approach is our embassy network, which through the ambassadors downwards is extremely well connected and well regarded, particularly in the GCC. So where we're looking at opportunities, for example, in some of the major sporting events or leisure events in the region, you know, the UK embassy is particularly well wired into those things as well. So we are tracking all the major buyers and borrowers, but also trying to pull in UK businesses so we can help facilitate that as well. So I hope that answers the question, but it is a very, very comprehensive suite of assistance that is available, and really hope that you have a chance to test that out, you know, with some of the discussions with our EFM network in the UK or in the region. I think we might have one more question, which is which markets are the most active in the region and why? There's absolutely no doubt that the whole region is becoming very active, and it is being led by the usual suspects, probably of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, stroke Dubai, and Qatar, but also Oman and Kuwait, I think, will follow quite soon after that. And they are going through a vast transition phase. It's not just the move from hydrocarbons and reconfiguring their economies, but it's also the investment in the infrastructure, water and transport and energy, but in health as well, as these economies arguably are repositioned for the first time almost since being created. So they are completely transiting. And I think that they will be moving away from the idea of sovereign business to private sector business, project finance, PPP, PFI, and trade finance, to build out their corporate base and encourage their own corporates to become experts in sectors, but also looking to export regionally. And they are particularly focused on the collaboration with the UK, and I think joint ventures and partnerships in all sectors will develop only further, because they will want to attract UK expertise. They want to build out their own supply chain so that they are also experts in, for example, solar energy, and they can design, operate, and build solar plants. And then they will be also looking to pioneer, as they will be brilliant at doing so, because they have done in the past, new technologies such as blue and green hydrogen, storage, carbon capture, and so on. And I think you'll see that happen in the region, and it'll be a wild ride, but I think it's going to be a fantastic thing to witness as these countries switch across. And Saudi, being the sleeping giant, will lead the way, and through that will drive regional activity. And then we'll see, as I say, markets like Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE start to follow alongside. And they're fantastically well placed to achieve it, because they move from a hydrocarbon world to a world where, for example, there's plentiful sunshine, and they can use solar power, for example, to create hydrogen. And so the opportunities are limitless there, and it's just getting on with it and helping as best we can with that fantastic transition opportunity. So a bit of a long-winded reply, but I think show the opportunity, the scale of the opportunity, and what an exciting opportunity it is for all of us in the region. Thank you very much.